if you think about it, very strange thing is happening in the world of Christianity. So everybody says this is the last days, but virtually no one is thinking about the Great Tribulation. So they're not worried about the Great Tribulation. And if somebody tries to warn about the Great Tribulation, they get alarmed and they start looking at you with a suspicious eyes. It's because there have been a lot of tragedies involving cult. So in the past days, a lot of cults tried to prepare for the tribulation, and they were like false leaders, and many people even killed or lost their belongings. So because of that, many Christians are very wary about the Great Tribulation. So they don't think about it and they don't talk about it. And there are two main reasons why Christians are not preparing for the Great Tribulation. The first one is because of the pre-tribulation rapture. Because if you believe in pre-tribulation rapture, because you think that the rapture happens before the Great Tribulation, so many people think that they'll be raptured before the Great Tribulation, so they don't have to worry about the Great Tribulation. So that's why those who believe in pre-tribulation rapture, they don't worry about the Great Tribulation. So they are being set up to enter the Great Tribulation. And the second is because of the cults. But even some pastors who don't believe the pre-tribulation rapture, they preach that the Great Tribulation will come before the rapture, but they actually don't say what to do about it. They just say, oh, the Great Tribulation, it will just pass. Like, you don't have to worry about it. Or they say, oh, you have to endure the Great Tribulation. So there is a verse that says Jesus will exempt the Christians from the Great Tribulation. There are verses like that, but the pastors know that verse, but they don't preach about that verse. So this is Revelation chapter 3 verse 10. Because you have kept my command to persevere, I also will keep you from the hour of trial which shall come upon the whole world, to test those who dwell on the earth. So the trial to test those who dwell on the earth, the whole world, is none other than the Great Tribulation. So there is a verse like this in plain sight, but those pastors don't preach about this. One of the main reasons they don't preach about this is because they are worried that if they start saying you have to prepare and that you have to flee from the Great Tribulation, then they will be labeled as a heresy and a cult, and they will lose their job. So because of that, many preachers, they are actually hiding, almost like hiding this verse from the congregation. So they don't talk about it. So like almost 99% of Christians are being set up to enter the Great Tribulation. But what I want to tell you is that it's in God's interest that as many Christians as possible to go into the Great Tribulation. It's because God wants to save as many Christians as possible in the Great Tribulation. So one of the main reasons why God is sending the Great Tribulation is to save the Christians. So most Christians believe in the salvation by faith only. So they have no way of understanding why God is sending the Great Tribulation. So why is God sending the Great Tribulation? It's because these days many Christians are hesitating to deny themselves to follow Jesus and give their lives to Jesus. So they remain in that disobedience, so they're not saved and that they're not born again. So Jesus said, whoever wants to follow me, he has to deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. those who do not do that are not worthy of me. That means they're not worthy of accepting Jesus. So they have nothing to do with Jesus. So they're not saved. So most Christians believe in the false gospel of just believing in Jesus to be saved. So they are hesitating to follow Jesus. So they're not saved. So God needs as many Christians as possible to be in that Great Tribulation. So in the Great Tribulation, Christians will have to make the decision to dedicate themselves to follow Jesus in that short period of time, which is 3.5 years. So they delay their dedication through whole life, but in that short time, which is the Great Tribulation, they have to make that decision. Because to keep your loyalty to Jesus in the Great Tribulation, you have to deny the Antichrist in the face of hellish tortures, and then even in the face of death. You have to keep your faith and loyalty to Jesus. So at that moment, the followers of the Antichrist will ask you to bow down to Antichrist and denounce Jesus and enjoy all that is offered by the Antichrist. So in the Great Tribulation, the Antichrist will unite the whole world, and this whole world will be a utopia. So you have to deny all that, and in the face of torture and death, you have to keep your loyalty and faith to Jesus and not bow down to the Antichrist. So at that moment, the Christians, because they denied themselves to follow Jesus, even in the face of death and torture, they are born again. So that's why God is sending the Great Tribulation to save as many Christians as possible in the Great Tribulation. So that's why almost all the Christians are being set up to enter the Great Tribulation. So that's what's happening right now. But God wants to give the Christians a chance to be saved before the Great Tribulation comes, so they don't have to go through the Great Tribulation. So God is sending the Great Tribulation to save the Christians. But if you are born again, deny yourself and follow Jesus and born again before the Great Tribulation comes, then you don't have to go through the Great Tribulation because you are already saved. So you don't have to be tested to be saved in the Great Tribulation anymore, because you are already saved. So it says here, because you have kept my command to persevere, I will also keep you from the hour of trial, which shall come upon the whole world. So there will be those who make that decision to dedicate themselves to Jesus before the Great Tribulation comes. And for those, God will exempt the Great Tribulation. But one thing is that it says here, because you have kept my command to persevere. So what this means is, some Christians might feel that maybe I will make that decision just before the Great Tribulation comes. So when the Great Tribulation is just about to start, then I will make the decision. But what I want to tell you is that God will exempt the Great Tribulation for those who persevere. That means for a long time before the Great Tribulation comes, they have persevered in their faith. So it's not like they put off their decision until the last minute. They make the decision now, and they serve God for a long time before the Great Tribulation comes. So God has already tested their endurance and their loyalty for a long time. And that's why they don't have to go through the ultimate test, which is the Great Tribulation. So God is promising that blessing of not going through the Great Tribulation to those who will persevere for a long time. So right now, I believe that God is calling all the Christians to take that chance to follow Jesus and be saved now. so that you don't have to go through the Great Tribulation. I wish you blessings from the Lord.